Hulk Hogan is about to get trolled.
Beautiful. Oh boy. Trump is a real felon. Thinks the immigrants are eating cats. Trump is a real felon. Fight for all right. Fight for all right. Did you miss me? No political violence. No political violence here. I'm feeling strong about martial law. Da, da, da. See you soon. It's what you call the New Woke Order.
Yet again, by this guy. His name is Robbie Roadsteamer, who calls himself a progressive comedian. Now, he's done this before.
Table. Ready? You can step up.
Hell yeah.
You have your phone set. Okay.
Look at the shirt, the MAGA powers. We're going to destroy the woke. What are they going to do when we drop the big boot on trans and we drop the big boot on everything? We're going to drop the big boot on Social Security. Does that work for you, brother? Trump is a real felon. Then he went to Epstein Island. Trump, no physical, no political violence. No political violence. No political violence, though.
But this time there was a twist. Robbie would be confronted by Hulk Hogan's handler, which means this guy followed Robbie out of the venue after he wore the bear outfit and got to him in a coffee establishment to confront him. And he would keep repeating the same line over and over and over again, labeling Robbie a furry. But Robbie would continue using his words, and only his words, to fight back. Robbie would reiterate to him, "You are the one that followed me into this coffee shop. Why don't you go help the Hulkster?" And when the handler kept trying to defend Hogan, saying he does a lot of genuine good, his words, Robbie would say hawking beer because he can't stand the Bud Light rainbow bottle. Yeah, great. The handler would continue saying, "You're dressed like a bear." And Robbie would respond to that saying, "You shouldn't represent a felon. You keep representing felon. 34 convictions." He'd ask, 34 convictions. Did you not hear about that? And that is when the worker would say, "I'm going to have to ask you guys to separate." I mean, he could dress how he wants. Robbie would thank him. The handler would say, "He offends everybody." And the employee said, "Well, it didn't happen in the store, so kick rocks." Robbie would then rightfully ask, "Is he buying something?" And that he was waiting on his order. The handler claims the cops were already called, indicating that maybe they would be arriving soon, though we wouldn't see them when it comes to this piece. Robbie would again hear that he is a furry and he's dressing up as a bear, and Robbie would mock him. The handler would call him a straight-up loser, and Robbie would simply tell him, "Just go back to your event, man. Go help the Hulkster. Maybe there's other bears in line that you could prevent him from seeing." And then he would take a dig at the handler as well. The employee would say that he is asking them to separate, and it appears the handler would simply be on his way. Robbie would thank him and then say sorry. If you can, please do follow Robbie. And I am really curious to see what other disguises he is going to have, because clearly they are picking up on it. I would guarantee that they have his face pretty much blacklisted at this point from going to any event. So I am curious what's going to happen. And I do look forward to him trolling Hulk again. Now, what I find to be very, very interesting, as we have covered this a few times, and the new revelations that have happened. The first is, a handler doing this, in my view, shows how hypersensitive they are in an attempt to control what is being done and what is not being done at Hulk's events. We must also remember, and I know we covered when he went on Logan Paul's podcast, which I believe is called Impulsive, where they threw him softball after softball after softball after softball. He said that he wanted to try and bridge the gap between left and right. And he did that because he had such disdain for what Bud Light did when one time they reached out to a trans person who was highly popular and made a custom can for her. That's what he got mad about. So just very quickly, the snowflake line that they love to utter at people on the left, it is so deeply prevalent on the right, but it is something that they don't want to ever admit, because what it will show is transparency, honesty, and also that they are weak. This is a form of weakness, whether they like it or not. To go out there and say, I hate what Bud Light did, so I'm going to bridge the gap between left and right. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to promote prayers going back in school, because he did that. When I am launching this beer, that's what I want to do. We got to bring God back into schools. Well, that's not something that everybody agrees on. And that is no way to bridge the gap. There are people on the right who also don't want that. I know there are many people who probably saw a rant by a host on the network about how they will defend your right to practice whatever religion you want, but you can't go out of your way to then exclude people based on their religion or whatever they prefer, whether it is abortion, whatnot. So Hogan did that. You also can't say that you're trying to bridge the gap when you are a keynote speaker at the Republican National Convention, when you are supporting a man who, as Robbie said, has 34 counts against him. He has allegedly R-worded his first wife, according to her words, until she retracted. He claims to be a family man, yet he is on his third marriage. There were allegations that when his third wife, Melania Trump, was in labor, he was out on the prowl with a porn star. You can't talk about family values. And you also can't talk about that guy being able to bridge the gap, because what it is representative of your true character and who you are as a person. If you are not only supporting him, but going up there and delivering a speech, which he claims was off the cuff. If it was, cool, that's fine. But then you're also supporting his running mate. And the comments that he has made about women. And the comments that he has made about abortion. And how he does not serve the people of Ohio. He does not serve the American public. He serves Peter Thiel. Because Peter Thiel saw him when he was in college. Really adored what Vance was doing. In a way, groomed him to become the man he is today. Vance and Trump are not there to serve anybody. They're there to serve the top 1%. It's been happening over and over and over again. We saw the largest transfer of wealth during the Trump administration. And they have shown that they do not care about the middle class. But then on top of this, Hogan, as Robbie said, goes from event to event to event to promote his beer at one point where a literal Nazi was there and took pictures with him. And he had Nazi insignia all over his body. And he made what felt like a threat to Kamala Harris, where, as Robbie said, and it is true, we played it before, that he was asking the crowd, do you want me to body slam Kamala Harris? And then he played into the, she doesn't even know what ethnicity she is. When it's really funny, Hulk Hogan has made a career out of cosplaying, in many people's eyes, being something that he is not. But then he would hold up a hand to give a sign that she is Indian and said, how? Which also shows how much of a low IQ person he is, because that's Native American. Nonetheless, it is embarrassing to see Hulk Hogan make this pivot, but maybe this is who we should know. We should have known who he was all these years, because Jesse the Body Ventura, a libertarian of all people, went on the record with Graham Bensinger, that we've also played as well and many other shows have, where he soon found out, because Vince McMahon was under oath, and he had his lawyers ask Vince, because under oath you can't lie, unless you're a Supreme Court justice. And he said, had his lawyers ask, what happened with unionization? Why did you fight it? How did you find out? And McMahon, under oath, said it was Hulk Hogan. So this is who he is. He aligns with other union busters like Donald Trump. The person who says, you start giving them rights, practically they own the company. No, they don't. But that is the talk of a billionaire who does not care about the working class at all. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.